Recording. Hey, my name is Dr. Bagley. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me with Conversations with Dr. Bagley. That is me. It is my honor and my privilege to come in front of you again. What I want to present to you is something we did not too long ago. It was a live workshop, okay? But I put it in a webinar style for you, specifically for you guys. The webinar is entitled 00LV1 of 4. So there's 4 of them. So there's 4 programs that I want you to look forward to. However, I'll give you some information how you can receive all 4 at one time so you guys can review it at your leisure. The group topic is parent-child relations. Specific topic on this one particular show is child development. This is a 30-minute program, so some of it is cut off towards the end to make time. But again, at the bottom here, context is how you're going to get a hold of me so I can give you a copy of the full show. Again, we had a live workshop that I did it in the webinar style. The workshop by itself was called Parent-Child Communications. A little background. This is how I try to help parents understand how to communicate, or the communication styles, if you will, between them, the parent, and the child, and specifically and especially with today's generation kids. Again, this is the first one of 4. If you would like a free one, my phone number is right here. My email address is right there, specifically to the office. If you do call me, please call me on normal business hours, okay? If I don't answer, please leave a message. Well, without any ado, I'll cut from here and go straight into the live webinar recording, of course. So today we're going to talk more specifically about parent-child communication. This is a workshop by itself. Everyone has a pack, so it's printed out so you can just follow along. Today's objective is helping teach some issues within the problems of communicating, okay? Another one is help teach a new path of resolve, and then the third point is help teach to gain a result within your life through others. So we're going to help each other out, as well as figure out some new things and within ourselves. Special note, this is a workshop and it's not one for all, one all for all. I am trying to address some of the root issues before addressing your personal situation during the Q&A, which is the second part. I'm sorry, the fourth part. So today's topic is broken down in 4 parts. The first one is we're going to learn about child development. And associate graduate, congratulations. You probably already know this, but we're going to review it anyway. Then we're going to go into problems within parenting. There's a couple of main issues that I just want to point out and get that understanding. And then the third part is understanding some case studies. So some real life case studies that I've done in my career. We're going to actually do it together and come up with some conclusions. And then the fourth part, we'll do some personal situations, you know, what's going on in your life and how we can help each other in that part. All righty then. Any questions? All righty, ready. All right, so let's begin. In your workshops, this one here is Erickson's 8 stage of psychosocial development. You probably heard of him also. Yes. Erickson is a psychiatrist. He decided to go off of Maslow's, however you pronounce his names, the needs. And so today I want to just define each of those stages, development stages. So let's get into the first one is the trust and mistrust of infants. So that starts off from the very beginning of birth to the 18-month. Who they let into their inner circle. So if you think about it, when you have a stranger come over your house, they tend to run to you. And then after you get them comfortable to trust the other person, then they go out and trust other people. Sometimes, though, this is the problem in a lot of parenting nowadays. Sometimes the kids don't understand that relations. They bring in different people all the time, let it be guys or friends, and there's no distinction between who to trust and who's not to trust. So at this stage is really where the babies start to trust everybody. But more particular, this is where, how the kids are very cute and lovely, so everybody's kissing on them and all of that stuff. But guess when they grow up, they're anticipating that strangers can still kiss on them to a degree. Not all, but some of them. So this is where that stage of infant kicks in up into their 18th month. The second part, the toddler stage, is the independent influence and uncertainty side of it. This is where they start to go on their own. This is really when kids really become independent. Now, how and why is because now they're starting to go to the bathroom by themselves. They're starting to walk around and explore the house by themselves. So that independent part of the cycle of them is really at this stage, okay? The third part is, let me see here. This one here starts the outside independence, such as friends and school. This is when they start to go to school, the preschoolers. They start to go to schools. This is where they learn from what they learned at home, and then when they go to school, it reflects it, okay? When we start the clicking point of view, this is where they start to learn that. So independence, the influences, who's influencing them. Another part of influence is now music, the TV programming, all of those things starts to influence them. Kids want to dress like their famous person on TV or rap stars or wherever. And parents don't pay attention to that very much until it's too late. So if you have kids around this age, or know somebody who has kids around this age, very particular time where you really want to censor pretty much everything that goes on in their life, because that is an influence that gives them a comfort zone later on in life, okay? The next stage is the grade schoolers. This one here is doing, knowing the boundaries. In other words, they're testing everything, okay? They're starting to do things on their own. So 5 to 13 is really when parents start to have conflicts with the teens. All right. So if you think about it, the kids from birth all the way up into this level right here, the kids has already got who they are. They're very comfortable in their environment. They're very comfortable in what they can and can't do. And so now they're starting to jump off independently from the parent. They're trying now to find their own identity. And this is where it conflicts, because now they're starting to dress a certain way. They're starting to hang around certain people in their life. And we don't like it, the parents. We say, hey, that's not a good person to hang around with. Well, who do you think gave them that comfort zone to hang around them? Let it be the influence of the music or the TV or our friends, okay? But that is the stage where they start to pick up those boundaries of internal and so on. The next stage, teenagers. Oh my gosh. Independent person, and this is the outside stage. They're independent from the home. Okay. The first one was independent in the house. The next one is independent outside the home. They want to hang out with their friends away from mama and daddy. They don't want to be around you. And this is scary for us, a lot of parents, simply because when we look at them, we say, you're not ready. Well, okay, yes, they're not ready, but they know they need to get out there and start building their own identity. And so a lot of times parents become too strained on them, and that's really where the conflict comes in. Instead of just simply trusting them, guiding them, that would be a good point to address those types of teens. Now, it is also a place where it's very hard to change who they are as far as past history, the type of music, the type of friends, the type of environment. Though that stage right there is really when they're really going to get integrated into that as their selves, as an independent self. Okay. So the next stage right there is what I put, the young adult. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, young adult. So in this stage here is the forming the intimate, loving relationship with other people. 21 to 39. But let's backtrack just for a second. 13 to 21, that's really when they're starting the actual relationship point of views. Their body is changing. They want to, their puberty aspect is changing, so they're having questions about their body, and a lot of times parents don't talk about that, and so they talk amongst themselves, and especially with today's technology, we got social media out there, they're out there communicating, I promise you, and some of the stuff they're talking about is okay. Sexuality kicks in, the experimentation. I knew a young guy who had a girl, whose girl broke up with the guy because she wanted to try to date a girl. But then she broke up with the girl and wanted the guy back. So that sexuality experimentation and the TV business is not helping at all. It's not helping at all. So and then we have to also consider emotions. How do they feel about certain things? And then the bigger question is, what is love? Okay, and we'll get more in depth into that. So love and romance and responsibilities and money, all of that starts to play in effect. So mom is struggling, single mom is struggling, and so now the boy is at that age, starts to think about, I need to help mom more so than school. Okay, so we're at that age. So the next one then is the young adults, and so what they're going to do is complete the forming of the childhood development stages. Okay, this is forming the loving relationship with other people, like I stated, but this is really where it's at. That's it. There is no changing them, who they are, their personalities, the traits that they are. You know the old saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. By the time they get to this young adult stage, that apple is an apple. It will never be an orange or any other fruit. All right. So, and exactly, people say that. So, especially when they come to me and they're thinking, all right, please change the personality of my kid. And I'm like, okay. This is really, this blocking system is the only thing that, which is the next page. This is the thing that really is going to change. Skills and competencies. We can go to school, we can learn different skills and trades. So coming from the ghetto with one idea and then going to school and then getting a job and living outside the ghetto, that can change. The knowledge aspect of it can change. You know, I'm a traveler, I like to go to different states, the experiences that our kids will have. Those things can change, but you know the old saying, you can take the girl out the country, but you can't take the country out the girl. That can't change. That's the bottom level, is the intellect. That's, I'm strong in math, but I'm weak in English. Well, you can study English all you want, you still won't be as good as math. That intelligence aspect, I'm sorry. The values and the interest, the motives and goals. So motives, for example, is I was in the ghetto and I strive to get out the ghetto. Well, my motive will always be, subconsciously, if not consciously, never ever to go back to the ghetto. So I'm going to do what's needed to get out. And so that is the motive and goals and the values. Personality traits, personality, for example, is a introvert versus extrovert. The traits is defining those aspects. That is, no, they can't change. I mean, it can, but you must have said no. All right. So when your child, whatever that child is at whatever stage, this is at page 7. Where is your child or children development stages? So this is a quick question. Write down what stage they're at and then answer these questions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, very simple. The first one, do or did your children run away from strangers? Okay. What are some of the music and TV programs you view? What is the majority of your clothing style you wear at work versus going out? Have you talked to your children about sex, relationship, pregnancies, etc.? And the last one, what do you children, that should be your children, sorry, want to be in life? So I'll give you a few minutes to answer those. All right, so let's do an overall look. All right, so a child or a children copies the home environment. This is the next page. It copies the home environment, outside their environment, home environment and outside environment. Okay, so their influence, let it be good or bad, is determined by the controlling influence. So ask yourself, who's really controlling, okay? When they come home from school, what do? Are they in front of the TV? Or are they listening to music? Then that is the controlling factor.
If that's what they're doing when they come home.
If that's correct.
Controlling them?
Yes, because think about it. When you see a video and the girl is looking sexy and she's dancing and all the guys are throwing money or whatever, I'm just using music rap video. Subconsciously, when she gets of a developing age and she starts to figure out, I want a guy, how do you think she's going to start dressing? How do you think she's going to start behaving? Go ahead.
Are we speaking if that's the only thing she's getting in her?
No, that's just one.
Okay.
Then you have to add in the factor of the parents. And that's why I had you, how do you dress when you go to work versus going out? Because believe it or not, they're looking at everything you do. Oh my gosh. And even to the point of knowing the difference between you go out and go to church, how you dress. And I hate to say it, but nowadays there's really no difference in the styles of certain young people. They will go out to the club just the same thing they wore to church. And so in this context, when they're developing themselves into this independence of themselves, and they start to break away from you and you starting to notice what they're doing is not appropriate or you don't like it, then it's almost too late. Almost too late. Then that's when the argument in the teenage years come in, because they've already learned everything from you, outside influences, churches, their friends at school, the music and the videos, all of those different environments. And I just lumped them up into two: home environment and outside environment. When they put all those two together and they start to become independent for themselves, that's it. And that's where the struggles come in play. Okay. So the good or bad, which is really what is good and bad, determines the actual family, what is good. One family says cussing is allowed. The other family says no cussing in the house, right? So what is good and bad determines. So the controlling influence is really, as parents, what you really should start focusing on. Because when they, at the right side, fight and struggle from all environments until they conclude their own personal identity, whatever identity that may be, within a self-identity and a social placement identity. Okay, so you see girls nowadays, girls in high school dress one way at home, put in the bag their clothes, right? Mama knows. Go to school and change in the hoochie mama stuff because they're trying to get that self-placement and social placement. People giving them attention. I like the attention. And yeah. So that's really what happened. How you doing, man? Good, good. All right. So we're on page 8 right now in that white worksheet. All right. All right. So any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
I'm really looking at the whole
bigger picture.
Yeah, yes. Because I have two. I mean, my husband's home too, so I have to see who they're really looking at.
They're looking at both, and so let me give you an example of what I mean by that. If you
have
all
boys.
Okay, so let me say daughters and sons, just so we can have an understanding. If you have a daughter and you have a man at the house and the husband and wife, the daughter is learning from the man, the husband, what a man should be. So when she grows up, she should know I want a daddy, my daddy, relations. I'm comfortable with that. But if it's boys, then they're looking at dad, how he treats mom, and that's how they're going to treat their girls. So when my girls, I treat their mom, we're divorced, but I still treat her with utmost respect because I want them to understand that a man, regardless of the relationship, his personality, should never change. He's got to treat them. So in your case, boys is looking at the dad, how to treat a woman, and then boys is looking at mom, how to treat a man, how to take care of the home, all of those roles that they play. That's a good question. You got a boy or girl? Or both?
I got both.
Okay.
All different age brackets.
Oh, wow. We got multiple kids around here.
You got about 5 of each, right? They get 5 and 5.5 in between. No, you got 5 boys and 5 girls.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to say, you look good, girl, for TV.
You was like,
yeah.
Don't get me ticky.
I know that's right. Oh, I know that's right. You be on TV again. All right.
have that same time.
I got so you have twins that are okay. So
I have an 18-year-old,
okay,
a 12 to 13-year-old, and an 8-year-old daughter. So the 2 are boys, and
right.
The 2 are girls.
All right. So you're probably finding that the 2 boys are already out doing their thing. The influence that they have inside of them, and kind of missed the little part, but the influence that they have is already locked in. They have to now find themselves and whatever themselves is. That's why we're trying to go to school, and that's why we're trying to get this, that, and the other, so they can get new experiences, because that new experience will bring different knowledge and hopefully a new resolve in their life. The daughter, at what age again? 8. That's the one that you're really developing. The missing piece with the guy aspect is she's not going to understand what a father is, what a husband role is. So when she's developing to that age, she's going to really struggle with those dating guys, how to match something she never had. Okay, unlike your sons, they have those 2, and so they'll have a clear picture of a daughter of their dating, because guys are very comfortable in what they know, and girls same thing. So be very particular in who you bring into your life, guy-wise, and if not, try to find a male figure that you can at least talk about, and we'll talk more in detail about that, what that looks like. Okay? Yes.
We talked about the 2 daughters. We talked about the 1 daughter without the father. We talked about the daughter with the father.
Okay.
Now, what about the daughter in the middle that has the father that's not a good role model, doesn't show how to treat a lady, how do you deal with that daughter?
She's still going to, again, who's influencing her? Now, you know the old saying, daughters love their daddies, and at a certain age, they're going to love their daddies regardless of what daddy does. Just unfortunate. But the mother's role, the mother's role is very, very vital to talk to communicate that, influence that by communication and action.
Right.
So it's your dad, love your dad, just don't be like your dad, okay? Don't get a guy like your dad. This is what happens, you know what I mean? But then when you say that, what do you put in replace of that? Mom, hopefully, this is what a woman is, this is what a man is, this is what the roles are, and let's talk about it, okay? Yes, and then again, you really want to be particular with the other outside influences, the music, the videos, the schools, environment. Is she involved with track or outside of the activities, or is she just hanging out with kids?
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
I want you to talk about the scenario and, this is a personal, intimate group.
Mhm.
Like in my case, no dad for the first 9 years. Then unfortunately, someone stepped in and shouldn't have stepped in. So, you have the bad influence. I really was better off with none. And then I had the bad one. So, and then there's a lot of kids that have that scenario.
Right.
So talk about the differences in and what two different ways, or maybe you can already talk about that. You can go, especially with a girl, if she has a bad influence or no influence, because that seems to be a lot of our culture issue right now.
In that specific scenario right there, it's more of an identity issue than anything else. The old saying, when you go to church, you see a kid, you like just like your whoever, okay? Well, when the opposite parent is not there, there's a gap, there's an identity crisis within them. Why do I act this way? Why do I feel this way? And nobody else I can relate to, nobody else can relate to me. So when the parent comes in, the first thing that happens is a connection because of the identity. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree point of view. They can relate now. Okay, now the question is it really an influence or is it just a personality and trait issue? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Okay. If the parent who raised the child is doing a good enough position, then that influencing aspect of the outside parent won't have a factor. It just simply won't. Besides the fact of their personality and traits is similar to theirs. Okay, we can work that, but they have a different experience, they have a different influence. So it's very complicated when it comes to the psychiatry and the counseling aspect because you're dealing in multiple layers. It's the who am I identity that I act just like him, but now who raised me? What kind of influence do I have? And how do I deal with that? Who I'm still like that. So that child is technically has been confused like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And so it takes time, and depending on the developing area. So like a 6-year-old kid will be a lot better in that scenario than a 18-year-old child in that same scenario. Does it make sense to you? So if that ever happens, get it out the way very young so you can develop them outside of that bad behavior, whatever behavior those are. Then wait until they are understanding